Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Aviz Networks Podcast series. I'm your host, Shruti Jha, Digital Marketing Manager at Aviz Networks. Today, we are diving into an exciting and much anticipated event in the open networking community, the SONiC PlugFest. Joining me is Cody McCain, Director of Product Management at Aviz Networks. Cody's background is truly unique, a physicist turned networking and cybersecurity expert. Over the past 20 years, he's worked at JP Morgan, Chase, Intel, Cisco, and much more. His contributions include securing $11 trillion in daily transactions transiting the network, building mission critical CNI technologies for enterprise and telco, and optimizing Kubernetes and container security at massive scale. Cody, we are thrilled to have you. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Shruti. Glad to be here.
Cody, let's start with the big picture. What is the main objective of PlugFest, and what do you hope participants walk away with after attending this event?
Shruti, that's a great question. The main objective of PlugFest is really to short circuit the burdensome POC process that we've all experienced. What we can accomplish in a few short days together far exceeds, one-off testing with each partner and customer, especially in this ever-growing SONiC ecosystem. PlugFest brings together both customers and vendors in one place, and it allows our experienced team to work hand in hand with you, the other participants, to test, all the most relevant use cases across really a heterogeneous hardware landscape. And I don't think really there's any other place that we can have, an event providing such deep insight into the art of the possible with SONiC and open networking.
So many organizations, they run their own individual POCs or lab trials when evaluating network operating systems. Why is PlugFest a more effective alternative, especially for teams that are comparing NOS options or exploring SONiC for the first time?
Yeah. So, if you're in an organization that's exploring SONiC for the first time, or, you're hoping to expand, your use cases with it, jumping into a forum of a huge, number of experienced SONiC users and vendors, it really enables you to rapidly expand your own understanding and learn how other organizations have successfully deployed SONiC. Our testing environment, I think it has something for everyone. If you're just looking to kick the tires for the first time, or if you're really wanting to, get the experts behind the hardware and software to help you put your specific use case to the test, PlugFest is the place to do it. This is a place where you can really surround yourself with the depth of experience and really help to eliminate all of your unknown unknowns.
So our listeners, they often ask whether PlugFest evaluates real-world scenarios or just lab-only configurations. What kind of real-world network use cases will PlugFest focus on, and why are these specific scenarios so critical for modern data centers and AI-driven infrastructures?
Yeah, we bring together real-world test cases and ensure the protocols and hardware that you have will actually deploy. Our tests focus on three critical areas. We want to look at the feature and functionality. We want to look at scalability, and we want to look at real-world operational use cases. And typically, this testing includes, for example, the scalability and resiliency of IP class networks. We want to look at how ECMP failover and convergence works in the real world. This is a real-world environment, so we want to look at things like reboot and change management scenarios. And additionally, we can explore design and planning tools for AI scale-out, scale across scenarios, and how to increase operational efficiency with AI assistant tooling, such as our network copilot.
Organizations, they always want assurance that the results are objective and credible. How does PlugFest ensure that the outcomes are meaningful, unbiased, and reflective of real production environments? What does the validation and reporting process actually look like?
No, that's extremely important. If we were to break down our standard operating procedure for this event, there's really two important key characteristics that we include: neutrality and transparency. Every test that we execute during PlugFest is designed based on input from our customer advisory board, and that board spans everybody from cloud service providers, financial institutions, enterprises, social platforms, to name a few. We also want to ensure that each test can be executed by neutral engineers in an automated and repeatable way. It doesn't do us any good if the test that we're doing can't be executed by you in your own lab. And the focus is not typically on competitive analysis across vendors, but rather SONiC NOS and SONiC ecosystem readiness. After all this testing has been completed, we'll produce a comprehensive report that provides, number one, a high-level summary of the feature and the scaling and the operational support across each vendor.
Mhm.
And then we like to dive into, a very detailed component-level summary. We want to focus on platform readiness, management capabilities, layer 2 function and scaling, layer 3 function and scaling, and most importantly, day 2 operations. And then, finally, we try to go in and provide a very detailed analysis, even down to the protocol layer in each of those same areas.
Enterprises still running proprietary NOS solutions, they often have hesitations about switching. What's the biggest misconceptions you hear about moving to SONiC? And how does PlugFest help organizations overcome or validate those concerns?
Oh, that's a great question. As human, I think our strongest emotion is probably fear. And that's often manifested as fear of the unknown. There's a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt when you're considering moving away from an established vendor ecosystem. Will they have all the features I need? Will it support my use case? How easy is it to operate, to automate? And, the list of questions goes on and on. And, I think the truth is existing vendors, beyond the traditional open and white box vendors, are all getting behind SONiC. It's no longer a very niche field, but a field that's being adopted widely across our entire industry. And if we want to draw an analogy, I think it's very similar to the overwhelming adoption of open source over the last decade by well-established proprietary software vendors. And much like Linux, SONiC adoption is not a matter of if, but when. And I think PlugFest is an opportunity for customers to shine a light on what's unknown to them and put to the test, all of their requirements in a very neutral and rigorous test environment.
So, Cody, that was the last question that I had. Thank you for sharing such valuable insights. PlugFest is clearly becoming one of the most important touch points for organizations who want to evaluate SONiC, and your perspective really brings that to life. To our listeners, if you're considering open networking or want to validate SONiC for your infrastructure, this is the perfect time to get involved. PlugFest testing, it begins in January 5th, and we will be sharing the full result during the PlugFest Readout webinar on January 15th. Register now, secure a spot, and be part of this industry-wide evaluation. We can't wait to see you there.
Thanks, Shruti. I really hope that you will take the opportunity to come join us at PlugFest. I think it'll be a great place for you to explore, learn, put your use cases to the test, and get to sit with the experts all the way across the SONiC community.
Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next episode.